The reckoning is almost upon us.
Subscribe.
We are officially just 1 month away from Blazing Dominion's release in the TCG, and therefore 1 month away from me destroying everyone with Red Dragon Archfiend. Our deck doesn't exactly have the best reputation competitively.
This deck is like for sure bad. Like it's just not good. It's not made to be a good deck. Like it's made to be a deck for anime fans.
He's not wrong. If we want to actually get a bit of respect on our name, we're gonna need to start seeing some tops, and that's only possible if you build and play the deck well. I've made a free Red Dragon Archfiend spreadsheet to help with that, so link is in the description if you want to get to work. On top of that, I have been in the kitchen non-stop trying to cook up the absolute best build for Red Dragon Archfiend to finally get the deck's very first tier 3 event top. And today, I'm sharing with you not only a build that has the most potential of competing with the meta, but also a build that you've probably never heard of. Today, I introduce you to Red Dragon Archfiend Elfnotes. So with the release of Blazing Dominion, a solid 5 or 6 decks become new meta or potential meta threats. Those being Cooltune, Elfnote, Doom Z, and then to a lesser extent, Archmage, Predaplants, and Rockets as well. Testing of this upcoming format has already begun to figure out the strengths and weaknesses of these decks, but we don't need to worry about any of that just yet. The point I want to make is that in OCG, Elfnotes have been in the top 3 competitive decks ever since Blazing Dominion dropped. Granted, they do have Baron de Fleur still legal over there, but it is obviously still a very good deck. And the best way to top a tournament, surprise surprise, is to play a very good deck. It just so happens that this very good deck has a lot of synergies with Red Dragon Archfiend. Listen, if it sucked, I wouldn't be making this video, okay? So buckle up and let's get into it. So what the hell even is a Elfnote? I don't know, maybe something like this? Elfnotes are a synchro deck from the Medius, the pure lore featuring a series of level 6 main deck spellcasters. The deck has easy access to level 5 and 8 synchros thanks to the Twink himself, as well as level 7 and 10 synchros as well. I don't want to make this video too long, so we'll just quickly go over the relevant Elfnote cards. Each Elfnote spellcaster except Regina is able to special summon itself for free to the middle zone, and then while on the field, each of them have 2 effects. Red can add an Elfnote monster, blue can place a continuous spell from the deck, and yellow can place a continuous trap. During the opponent's turn, they all have their own quick effect interruption as well, where they can swap zones with the monster in your middle zone, and then red can bounce a level 6 or lower monster non-targeting, blue can banish a card from opponent's hand until end phase, and yellow can bounce a spell or trap. Not only is this zone switching mechanic really fun, but it's also super thematic because it's like they're playing music on stage and moving to the middle to perform their solo. I love it when Yu-Gi-Oh does shit like that, man. It's so cool. The continuous spell you play protects the monster in your middle zone from card effect destruction while also being able to special an Elfnote from deck. And then the trap makes it so that your opponent can only attack the monster in your middle zone while also being an Omni Negate that revives an Elfnote as well. Finally, we have the little tuner Peacock. It's a level 1 that can increase the level of the monster in the middle zone by 3, which means it can make itself level 4. Also, if it's used as a synchro material, you can search any Elfnote card. For the extra deck, the most important card is our level 7 Strelitzia. While it's in the middle zone, it has 3k attack, and during the main phase, as a quick effect, it can summon an Elfnote monster from hand or grave, and then if you want to, you can reduce the levels of all level 4 or higher monsters on the field by 3. That means you can randomly use it to disrupt an opponent's synchro or Xyz plays sometimes. Regina is one of the new cards in Blazing Dominion, but she activates in hand as a quick effect by pitching another Elfnote card to special summon herself, and then if she's summoned to the middle zone, she can summon an Elfnote from deck. Also, if she's used as synchro material, she can come back to hand. There's a couple of other cards as well, like Terminus, Viridrium, Genordo, and Genora, but this is all we need to know for now. So why would you play Elfnote Red Dragon Archfiend? Imagine you're playing one of the top decks in the room, but you're doing Red Dragon Archfiend things, and you're not restricted to just Dark Dragon synchros. It's a dream come true because you have so many more options available to you, and that's what wins games. Because of all the random synergies and bridges, you can actually build this deck in two different ways. You can go heavier on Red Dragon Archfiend and bridge to Elfnote, or you can go heavier on Elfnote and bridge to Red Dragon Archfiend. I think it's only worth building this variant if you actually want to play competitively, so we'll be leaning heavier into the Elfnote engine and focus on bridging to Red Dragon Archfiend. Much like Centurion, it makes the deck really strong going first, giving you combos through Droll, Perulia, and Nibiru, but your engine quality is also much better going second as well, giving you multiple pushes, which is really important. Since we're not playing under any harsh extra deck restrictions, we're able to bait out most of our opponent's interruptions with a lot of our Elfnote engine, and then clean up shop with Red Dragon Archfiend as our final push. It's not even like we're pushing Red Dragon Archfiend to the side either, because it's literally a core part of this deck's gameplay to bridge into Red Dragon Archfiend. It does have its downsides, but we'll get into those later. For now, let's get into a deck list. There's still a lot of things to experiment with, for example the new Pendulum monsters and the Terminus spell coming in Blazing Dominion. This is just what I have right now. So getting into the main deck with the Elfnote engine, we of course have 3 copies of Lucina, 3 copies of Tinia, and then 1 copy of Welcome Home. These are all your main Elfnote starters. Of course, you only play 1 copy of Welcome Home because it's a continuous spell, so going second, it's really bad into removal, and then going first, you have to pitch a card for cost. So if you get ashed, you essentially go neg on this one specifically. All of these cards can individually bridge into the full Red Dragon Archfiend combo, but it's not always optimal to do so. So sometimes you will find yourself just playing with the Elfnote cards, but that's not a problem at all. We're playing 1 copy of Regina. She's a very strong combo piece that can double as a turn 0 hand trap. I don't think she's very good as a turn 0 hand trap because you do have to pitch a card for cost, and then if she gets ashed, then you pretty much just lose the game on the spot. But we have to play her because it allows us to use our Elfnote engine without requiring a normal summon. We have 1 copy of the Power Patron, 1 copy of Fortuna, and then 1 copy of Rhapsodia in here as well. You need all 4 of these to maximize the potential of the Elfnote plays. Of course, individually, these 4 cards don't do anything, but in a full hand, 3 of them are extenders, and 1 is an endboard piece that you want to get to anyway. Moving on, we have 3 copies of Theorealize and 2 copies of Medius the Pure. This is your main starter that gets you into both of your engines, so we want to max out on this without too much redundancy. That's why I'm only playing 2 Medius rather than 3, especially because Medius itself requires the normal summon, but if you send it to the graveyard, you can go for the full combo, just special summoning it instead of normal summoning it, which then allows you to use your normal summon on Soul Resonator. Because it is such a good starter though, we are also playing a copy of Foolish Burial. Not only does this get you to Medius, but it can also get you just straight into the Red Dragon Archfiend engine. Finally, I'm playing a copy of Prosperity because our extra deck is actually really flexible in this deck. Now, because all of our starters here can bridge into the Red Dragon Archfiend engine, we don't necessarily want to draw too many Red Dragon Archfiend cards because it is the weaker engine of the deck. The absolute minimum package we can play is 1 copy of Soul, 1 Boner, 1 Gaia, 1 Vision, and 1 Darkness. With just this lineup, Soul Resonator is the full Red Dragon Archfiend board, but if you see any of these 4 cards alongside another starter, that also gets you to the full Red Dragon Archfiend board. Of course, individually, these cards don't do as much as they could in a full Red Dragon Archfiend deck. For example, Boner and Gaia would just get you to the Crimson Blade Dragon and therefore convert into a Harmonia and a potential Lubellian target. I was originally playing 3 copies of Soul Resonator, but then that was kind of too many normal summons in the deck, so I cut down from the 3 Soul to 1 and put in the Prosperity and the Foolish instead. Vision and Darkness are of course the only kind of bricky cards of the engine, but combined with all of our non-tuner bodies here, they are pretty much just decent extenders. Rest of the deck is non-engine. We of course have our searchable Lubellian with our Magna and our Druis Worm, and then we have triple Harmonia, triple Fuwa, triple Ash. I'm currently testing the Super Poly right now, and then we have 2 Droll there as well. Of course, you want to tailor your non-engine to the format. This can all change. But yeah, 40 card list, that's where we're at right now. I am, like I said, still experimenting with the new Terminus spell and possibly playing the Viridium. It's a little bit better card quality-wise than Theorealize, but it adds some more weird kind of one-offs to the deck, so we're avoiding that for now. For the extra deck, like I said, it's pretty flexible. For Red Dragon Archfiend, we have 1 Crimson Blade Dragon, 1 Crimson King, RDA, we got the Abyss and the Dispatcher. These are the only mandatory mandatory extra deck cards you need for the Red Dragon Archfiend engine. Then for Elfnotes, we have 1 Strelitzia, 1 Dawn Dragster, and 1 Crystal Wing. So you pretty much have half of your whole extra deck free for, you know, tech options and just being a synchro toolbox. Here I've opted for a Black Rose Dragon. You can chain block this going second with the Elfnote engine, although it does come up a lot less than I initially would like it to, so that's why it's not mandatory. We have 1 copy of Quibelt. You need a level 7 Dark Synchro to bridge your Elfnote starter into Red Dragon Archfiend. Quibelt's also just a good option to have because you can easily make 7s. I'm playing Vengeance Dragon for some lines into Nibiru, but it also actually comes up naturally against Cooltoon when they bump your levels, and you'll see that in the gameplay later. I've got 1 Malong as a Harmonia target. We can also just hard make this sometimes to climb into the Vengeance. 1 Omega. We have combos where we can rip 3 cards out of our opponent's hand, but this can also just be like a Harmonia Sand. Then I have Chaos Angel and the Sea Monster of Theseus, which is like the main super poly target against Cooltoon. But yeah, like I said, half of your extra deck is pretty flexible, so that allows for some very interesting deck building choices, and there is a lot of different cards that we can make in this deck. That's what I love about it. There's so many options, bro. Now, before I start showing you some combos, I want to talk about some of the tech cards we can play because there are a lot of cards we can play. First up, we have Secret Village of the Spellcasters. There's a lot of main deck spellcasters in our deck that we can just summon to the field for free, so, you know, Secret Village just immediately locks our opponent out of spells. Denko Sekka is actually an option we can play as well because we don't rely on our normal summon at all. It's usually like our last line of play unless we have a weird hand. Typically, we would be siding out a normal summon or two so Denko Sekka could come in if the meta calls for it. Similarly, we can also play Lava Golem because we don't rely on a normal summon, and even better, Crimson Blade Dragon can search Lava Golem. That gives us like 3 different outs to Liger Dancer. First up, we can search for Lava Golem. Second, we can summon Crystal Wing into the central zone with the continuous spell live. And finally, we have Crimson King. It just summons an indestructible 6k Red Dragon Archfiend, which Liger Dancer can't destroy. There's a bunch of synchro monsters we can play for a range of different situations. The first one is Genora. If we end up playing the Terminus spell as a starter, then you definitely want to play Genora because you can just summon it going second for free with Genordo. But even if we're not playing the Terminus package, there are still situations where you can summon Genora on your opponent's turn when you're playing an Elfnote heavy hand. It could be worth playing a level 5 synchro because if our opponent allows Medius to resolve and then imperms the Peacock for whatever reason, then we can't really do much. Garden Rose Maiden at least kind of doubles as a Harmonia Send as well because she can banish herself from graveyard to revive a dragon synchro. Like I said before, we are playing like a synchro toolbox, so there are situations where level 9, level 10, and even level 11 synchros come up and we just don't have the options in our extra deck to cater to it. It also might be worth looking into better extra deck options that come up when we get hit with a Poowalos. Things like Axel Synchron, Axel Stardust, or even just like a level 8 synchro to end on. We could play Fiendsmith in the deck. It makes Theorealize a much stronger card because it can turn anything into a light fiend. I don't think it's worth it though because going second it conflicts with Harmonia and it takes up too much extra deck space away from your synchro toolbox. There's also a world where we squeeze in a potential Albaz and Ecclesia package because Incredible Ecclesia going second is very good. So yeah, lots to consider. Let's get into some combos. Alright, combo number 1 here is going to be going for the full Red Dragon Archfiend board with just an Elfnote starter. We can do this with Lucina, Tinia, or Welcome Home. Of course, here we're going to start with the Lucina, and we are going to special summon Lucina and activate her effect to grab a Regina from the deck. We'll activate Regina in hand, sending Lucina to grave, to special summon herself to the middle zone, and then effect to summon an Elfnote from deck. We'll summon out the Peacock. Synchro! Into the Quibelt, we'll go Chainlink 1 to search, Chainlink to Regina to come back to hand. Off of the Patron, we're going to search for a Tinia. We'll then special summon Tinia and activate her effect to place a Welcome Home from the deck. Welcome Home can pitch the Tinia to special summon out a Fortuna. We'll go Fortuna effect to place Rhapsodia from the deck, and then Rhapsodia, pitch the Fortuna to summon back the Peacock. This is where we can bridge into the Crimson King. Effect, we'll add Soul Resonator, and we haven't used our normal yet, so we can just normal summon Soul and activate its effect to grab a Boner. Bone effect, pitching a card from hand to special summon itself, and then Bone effect, target Soul. We'll dump a Vision and decrease its level to 2. Vision will activate, so we'll grab a Crimson Gaia from the deck. We'll fire off the Crimson Gaia and its effect to search, for the Darkness Resonator. Effect of Darkness to special summon, revealing a Red Dragon Archfiend, and then synchro into the Crimson Blade Dragon. Effect, we'll grab Lubellion from the deck, we'll just fire off the Lubellion immediately to grab the Bestial Magna. We can activate Magna to special summon itself by banishing the Vision from grave. We'll then just immediately tribute the Magnemute for the Lubellion and synchro Lubellion with the level 2 soul into Bestial Dispatter. Dispatter can summon back the Vision, and we can synchro with the Crimson Blade into Abyss. Proceed to the end phase, and we get our Harmonia in hand. So overall, we have the Soul Protection in Graveyard because we have Crimson King on the end board here. We have our Abyss Omni Negate, our Trap Omni Negate, Harmonia, and on our opponent's turn, we can activate Regina, pitching our Continuous spell to summon herself to the middle zone. We'll use her effect to summon out the Tinia. Tinia can hand rip a card from our opponent, which is going to turn on the Monster Negate on Dispatter, and then Rhapsodia, of course, contribute the Regina to summon back the Lucina for a bounce as well. This next combo is actually a 0-card combo. You just gotta hit the like button and your opponent will scoop. Alternatively, you can play it a bit more safe with your Elfnote starter and just go for the standard Elfnote combo. Here I'm gonna showcase a line with Tinia because she's able to set up a Monster Negate before your opponent's able to use Nibiru or Droll. We're gonna special summon Tinia and activate her effect to place a Welcome Home from the deck. We'll go Welcome Home, pitching a monster from hand to special summon the Peacock. Synchro into the Strelitzia. We don't want to activate the Power Patron here because we don't have Crystal Wing on the field yet, so we're going to activate Strelitzia to summon back the Peacock, and then synchro as summon number 5 into the Crystal Wing. Activating the effect of Power Patron. This time, if we get Drolled or Nibiru at any point, we have a Monster Negate on the Crystal Wing. We are going to grab a Lucina from the deck though, special summon Lucina. Lucina effect, we'll grab a Regina, then activate Regina, sending Lucina to grave to special summon herself to the middle zone. Regina effect on summon. We'll summon out the Fortuna. Fortuna effect can place the trap card Rhapsodia, and we'll then activate Rhapsodia, sending Fortuna to grave to summon back the patron. We can then just synchro these two into a Dawn Dragster, where Regina will activate to come back to hand. And that's like your basic Elfnote combo. Once again, on our opponent's turn, we can summon Regina by pitching the Welcome Home and doing that line with the Regina. But also notice we haven't used our normal summon for this. So if we had something like Soul Resonator in hand, we can just normal summon Soul and go crazy. So with just an Elfnote starter, you have to choose whether you want to do the Red Dragon Archfiend combo or just the Elfnote combo. But if you open Theorealize or Medius, you can do both. Now, we actually have two different combos for Theorealize. One is going to be hand ripping 3 cards from the opponent's hand, and the other one is just going to be building a board. Since we get early deck knowledge off of the Theorealize, we're actually going to be able to choose which combo line we want to go for. But let's start with just building a board. We'll activate Theorealize, sending Medius to the graveyard as cost to check our opponent's top deck. And then we'll activate Medius's graveyard effect, shuffling back a monster to summon him from the graveyard. Effect on summon is going to summon out the Power Patron. One of the monsters has to be in the middle zone so that we can then activate the effect of Power Patron to increase its level by 3. Also, note, this does not lock you into summoning Elfnote Synchros. You can only summon Elfnote Synchros if you're using the effect to Synchro summon, but we're not doing that. So we're going to bump the level and then Synchro into the Crimson King, where we can go Chainlink 1 Power Patron to search, Chainlink 2 Crimson King to search. We're going to search for Soul Resonator and the Tinia. Soul gives us the better play through Nibiru, and Tinia gives us the better play through Droll. We'll then special summon Tinia and activate Tinia effect to place Welcome Home. We'll go Welcome Home effect, sending Tinia to grave to special summon out Lucina. Lucina effect will grab the Regina, and then we'll activate Regina, sending Lucina to grave to special summon herself to the middle zone. Regina effect is going to summon out the Fortuna, and we'll then go Fortuna effect to place Rhapsodia. If our opponent was gonna Nibiru us, they should Nibiru us on the summon of Fortuna, that way we don't get the Omni Negate on our end board. Continuing on though, we'll go Rhapsodia effect, sending Fortuna to grave to summon back the patron. We'll then synchro with the Regina into the Strelitzia. Regina will activate to come back to hand. We'll activate Strelitzia to summon back the Peacock, and then synchro into the Crystal Wing. So our opponent has to use Nibiru before this point, meaning we can then normal summon Soul and go for the full Red Dragon Archfiend board. So we're going to normal summon Soul and activate the effect of Soul to grab the Boner. We'll then activate the effect of Bone to special summon. If you want the destruction protection on your end board, for the Bone, you want to pitch a card from your hand. But if the rest of your hand is all hand traps, then we can just send the Crimson King here to special summon it. Bone effect, target Soul. Dump Vision, decrease its level to 2. Vision effect will trigger, adding the Crimson Gaia. We'll activate Crimson Gaia and its effect to grab the Darkness. And then we're just going through the motions, right? Darkness effect to special summon. We can then synchro into the Crimson Blade. Crimson Blade effect will add Lubalian. Lubalian effect can add the Bestial Magna. We'll then summon the Magna by banishing the Vision. Effect on summon. We contribute for Lubalian, synchro with the level 2 soul into Bestial Dispatter, and then Dispatter can summon back the Vision and synchro into our Abyss. Not in the middle zone, of course. Go to the end phase where we add Harmonia, and that's our board off of just the Theorealize. But let's get toxic and rip some cards, man. Okay, so here we start by activating Theorealize, sending Medius to grave for cost, and then we check our opponent's top deck. Maybe we see they're on a deck that plays a lot of board breakers, or maybe we see that they are playing board breakers. We can use our knowledge of the format to decide whether it's maybe better to rip cards out of their hands. And then of course we're going to know their top deck as well. We'll activate Medius effect in grave, shuffling back a monster from hand to special summon itself, and then effect on summon to summon out the patron. Patron effect to make itself level 4, and synchro into the Crimson King. Chainlink 1 patron, chainlink 2 king. This time we're going to add Vision and Tina. We're going to special summon Tina as summon number 4 and use her effect to place Welcome Home. We're then going to special summon Vision as summon number 5. If we get Nibiru here, Vision can search for Gaia, who can search for Darkness. We can then synchro Darkness with the Nibiru token into Snake Eyes Vengeance Dragon and continue playing with the Welcome Home. Otherwise, we are going to synchro into the Omega. Vision will activate, and we'll grab Crimson Gaia. We'll use the effect of Omega to rip 1 card out of their hand. We can then activate Crimson Gaia and Crimson Gaia's effect to add back Vision Resonator from the graveyard. We'll use our normal summon on Vision Resonator. If our opponent managed to hold a Nibiru, they have to drop it here because otherwise we're about to make this Patter, which has its monster negate live. If they do Nibiru us here, we can make a half board by continuing with the Welcome Home into the trap card plus Snake Eyes Vengeance. But yeah, anyway, we are going to synchro into the Bestial Dispatter. Monster negate is currently live. We'll activate Dispatter effect to summon back the Omega, then activate the Omega again to rip a second card out of our opponent's hand. From here, we'll activate Welcome Home, pitching a monster from hand to summon out the Lucina. Lucina effect is going to grab the Regina. We'll activate Regina, sending Lucina to grave to special summon herself to the middle zone. Regina effect is going to summon Fortuna. We'll activate Fortuna effect to place the trap card, and then we'll go trap, pitching Fortuna to summon back the patron. Here we are once again using our knowledge of the format or what our opponent's top deck is to decide whether we want a monster negate or a spell trap negate. We already have a monster negate on Dispatter and the Omni negate on Rhapsodia, so here we're going to synchro into the Dawn Dragster for a spell trap negate as well, and Regina will come back to hand. Now, during our opponent's draw phase, we can activate Regina, pitching Welcome Home to special summon herself to the central zone, activate her effect on summon to summon out a Tina from the deck. Still in the draw phase, activate Tina's effect to swap zones and rip a 3rd card out of our opponent's hand. So our opponent is left with 3 cards against a monster negate, an Omni negate, a spell trap negate, and once again Rhapsodia will be sending Regina to summon back either a monster bounce or a spell trap bounce on top of all of that as well. Pretty toxic. So far we've done a lot of bridging from Elfnote to Red Dragon Archfiend. That's like the goal of the deck, but there are some situations where you want to bridge your Red Dragon Archfiend engine into your Elfnote engine. For example, I played a game against Dracotail the other day where they basically broke my half board, and then I top decked Bone Archfiend as my only play, and I was actually able to bridge through Droll into Elfnote and build a board from there. So if you have an Elfnote in graveyard, this is actually just a 1-card combo with Bone Archfiend, but just as a concept here, we are going to use Bone plus Vision. Here we're going to normal summon the Boner and activate his effect, sending the Power Patron to the graveyard to increase his level to 5. We can then special summon the Vision Resonator and synchro into the Strelitzia because we're not locked and the materials are completely generic. Vision effect is going to grab us a Crimson Gaia, and then we can use Strelitzia to summon back the patron, which is going to give us a Crystal Wing on summon number 5. Effect of the patron, we're going to grab a Lucina, special summon Lucina, and Lucina effect to grab a Regina. We'll activate Regina in hand, sending the Lucina to special summon herself and activate her effect on summon. That's going to bring out the Tina. We'll go Tina effect to place Welcome Home, and then Welcome Home effect, sending Tina to special summon out the Fortuna. Fortuna effect will place the Rhapsodia, and then we can go Rhapsodia, send Fortuna to summon back the patron, and synchro into our Dawn Dragster here. Effect of Regina, she's going to come back to hand, and then we can fire off the Crimson Gaia and the Crimson Gaia effect to add darkness. We'll go darkness effect to special summon. We can gain an additional normal, but it doesn't really matter. If we have soul in hand, then sure. We'll then activate the bone effect in graveyard, just pitching the Crimson Gaia here for the sake of the example, to special summon itself and synchro with the darkness. That'll get us to our Crimson Blade effect to add the Lubellion effect. We'll add Magna, and then we can activate Magna. Doesn't really matter what we banish here, so we can just banish the darkness, I suppose, to special Magna and activate the effect of Magna before tributing it for Lubellion. Honestly, with the amount of cards we just naturally banish through gameplay in this deck, I'm genuinely considering Regained, but that would just be another brick, man. I don't know. We'll go to the end phase, resolve Magna, and we get the Harmonia. But yeah, I thought that was a really cool bridge. It means something like Bone Archfiend can extend your combo through like a terminus where you dump a power patron off of the terminus if you somehow get stopped while attempting to reborn it. Now, while most of your hands are pretty much completely immune to Nibiru, I wanted to show you an example of where you can actually get Nibiru'd. It can sometimes force you into a half board, so here we are going to normal summon Medius and activate its effect. We'll summon the patron and activate its effect to make itself level 4. Synchro into the Crimson King, Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2. We're going to add the Tina and the Vision Resonator. We'll special summon Tina as summon number 4 and activate her effect to place the Welcome Home. And now we need to find a way to force the Nibiru so that we can't just get Nibiru at the end of the main phase. So we are going to special summon Vision here and synchro with the Crimson King into Dispatter. Vision will activate, adding our Crimson Gaia to hand. We can activate the Gaia and its effect to search for the darkness. We'll activate the effect of darkness to special summon. Effect on summon will give us an additional normal for a Resonator monster, and then we can activate its on-field effects to make itself level 1. If we wanted to just completely disregard Nibiru and go for the absolute full combo, we could make the Crimson Blade Dragon here. But the safer play is probably to just synchro these two into the Strelitzia. Strelitzia effect can summon back the Peacock, and here is where we have to get hit by the Nibiru because we're about to make a Crystal Wing. The Nibiru token, of course, going to be placed in the middle zone. So in a situation like this, we can still activate Welcome Home, pitching a monster from hand to special summon out the Fortuna from the deck. We can activate Fortuna's effect to place the Rhapsodia trap, and then we'll go Rhapsodia, sending Fortuna to summon back the patron, to then synchro with the token into the Snake Eyes Vengeance Dragon. So this way, at least we have the Vengeance with the Omni Negate on the trap card. If our opponent tries to just go into the battle phase, we can pop the Nibiru alongside the Crimson Gaia or the Welcome Home, meaning we still have our 2 interruptions here alongside whatever hand traps we had. All right, let's get into a 2-card combo. We're going to make it kind of an awkward one here. We're going to start with the Welcome Home and the Vision Resonator. Like I said, if you open a Elfnote starter plus any of the Red Dragon Archfiend cards outside of Darkness Resonator, you can get to the full Red Dragon Archfiend board. So here, we're going to activate Welcome Home and its effect, pitch of Vision to the graveyard. That's going to special out the Regina from the deck. Then we'll go chain 1 to summon, chain 2 to search. We'll add our Crimson Gaia and summon out the power patron from the deck. Synchro these two into our Strelitzia. Chainlink 1 to search, Chainlink 2 to come back to hand. We are going to search for the Lucina. Effect of Strelitzia, summon back the patron, and then as summon number 5, we can climb into our Crystal Wing. Special summon Lucina, Lucina effect. We're gonna grab the Fortuna here, and then activate our Crimson Gaia. Gaia effect to search, we're going to grab the Soul Resonator from the deck. Normal summon Soul. Soul effect is going to get us the Boner, and we can then activate Boner, sending the Lucina to grave to special summon it to the field. That's going to clear up our central zone so that we can then special summon our Fortuna from our hand. Fortuna effect can place the Rhapsodia, and then we'll go Rhapsodia effect, sending Fortuna to summon back the patron. We'll go Bone effect, target the patron, sending our last Resonator in deck, our Darkness Resonator, to make it level 2. We'll then synchro into the Crimson Blade Dragon. Effect is going to grab the Lubellion, which we will just fire off to add the Bestial Magnum. Magna effect to special summon itself by banishing the Vision, effect on summon, and then we can just tribute it for the Lubellion. We can use Lubellion to place a target like Branded Beast if we side one in, and then synchro with the level 2 patron into our Bestial Dispatter. Dispatter effect can summon back the Vision, and then we can synchro with the Crimson Blade into our Abyss. We go to the end phase, and we grab our Harmonia. So yeah, it doesn't really matter what Red Dragon Archfiend card you see, as long as it's not darkness, you're gonna get to the Abyss, Dispatter, Harmonia board. If you open a hand like Lucina plus Medius, this is probably one of the cleanest ways to Handrip your opponent for 3, because even if you get Nibiru in this line, you can still make the full Red Dragon Archfiend Elfnote board. It also features a nifty little interaction that I want to show you. So here we're gonna special summon Lucina and activate her effect to add Regina. We'll activate Regina, sending Lucina to grave to special summon itself, and then effect on summon is gonna bring out the patron. We'll synchro these two into the Strelitzia, Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2 to come back to hand. And we are going to search for the Tinia. Strelitzia effect will summon back the patron. This is summon number 5 right here, so if we do get hit with a Nibiru and our opponent gives us the token in the middle zone, we can just tribute summon Tinia over the token and continue comboing to our full boards. So by threatening a Crystal Wing, we're forcing out the Nibiru early if they have one. From there, we will special summon Tinia and activate her effect to place Welcome Home. We'll then go Welcome Home, pitching the Medius from hand to grave to special summon out the Fortuna. Fortuna effect will place the Rhapsodia, and then we'll go Rhapsodia, sending Tinia specifically to summon back the Power Patron. Now here, we'll activate the Graveyard effect of Medius, shuffling back the Power Patron to special summon himself back to the field. And now that the Patron is back in the deck, we can activate Medius's effect to summon back out the Patron. So this saves us from having to shuffle back a monster from our hand. Patron effect to make itself level 4 and synchro. Into the Crimson King effect is going to grab the Vision Resonator. We can special summon Vision and synchro with Fortuna into the Omega. Vision will activate to grab us the Crimson Gaia. We'll go effective Omega to rip 1 card out of our opponent's hand. Follow that up with the Crimson Gaia and its effect, adding back Vision from graveyard. Using our normal summon here on the Vision, we're once again going to synchro into the Dispatter. Dispatter will summon back the Omega, and we'll activate Omega to rip a 2nd card out of our opponent's hand. And it's just the same as before, except this time basically our entire combo was insulated by the Crystal Wing. One card that can be pretty annoying to deal with is, of course, the Mulcharmy Poowalos. We do have some pretty solid half boards into this card, giving our opponent 1 or 2 draws. But then when they start combining the Poowalos with other hand traps that they have or that they draw into, it becomes a bit problematic. So for example, here, let's say we have Tinia, one of our worst starters, into Poowalos. We would special summon Tinia, activate its effect, placing a Welcome Home. We would then activate Welcome Home, pitching a monster from hand, and we would get hit with the Poowalos. In this situation, I think the best thing we can do is summon a Lucina so our opponent gets 1 draw. We activate the effect of Lucina for the Power Patron. We could then normal summon the Power Patron, and here we have the option of making a 7 synchro or a 10 synchro. Currently, I am just synchroing these two into the Don Dragster, which does give our opponent a 2nd draw, but we get a search off of the Patron for the Fortuna, which we can then special summon and use her effect to place the trap. So for 2 draws here, we have the Omni Negate on the trap, the bounce on the Lucina, the spell trap negate on the Dragster, a spell trap bounce on the Fortuna, and then a potential Handrip with the Tinia that we reborn off of the Rhapsodia as well. But there might just be a better synchro to go into, like a level 10 synchro potentially, which is where having the Baron de Fleur like they do in the OCG would be very helpful. Another thing that maybe needs looked at is if we start with something like Theorealize into a Poowalos as well. So here we would start with Theorealize, sending Medius to grave for cost. From there we go Medius effect to summon itself back by shuffling a monster into the deck. We'll summon Medius and activate its effect where our opponent would hit us with the Poowalos. So here instead of summoning the Patron, we can add it to our hand and then normal summon it. So that at least saves 1 draw off the Poowalos. And then here we have the option of making a level 5 or a level 8. Currently the only option I'm playing is the level 8 Crimson King. So our opponent gets 1 draw here. We go Chainlink 1 Patron, Chainlink 2 Crimson King. Without a side deck is just kind of not that great into Poowalos. We add the Fortuna. So I think we need another level 8 in the extra deck that we can synchro summon here in the event of a Poowalos. Otherwise, we could maybe search like a Rumbling if we side it in. Or we could search for a Darkness to then synchro with the Fortuna into the Crimson Blade, which could get us to a Harmonia and a Branded Beast for 1 extra draw as well. But in both of those situations, the Branded Beast or the Rumbling would be in the side deck. So in the main deck, game 1 getting hit with a Poowalos on the Theorealize seems kind of rough. Obviously, we special summon the Fortuna and activate her effect, getting us the Rhapsodia Omni Negate. I don't know, I definitely need to look into this a bit more to try and find something a bit more optimal into the Poowalos here. Alright, let's get into a little Blazing Dominion gaming where we're up against Cooltoon, arguably one of the best decks of the next format. We are going second, and some of the cards you see on the Cooltoon side are actually going to be different to the cards you see on screen. They start by normal summoning Rico and adding a red Nova, but that is actually Cooltoon Rotary. So if you see a red Nova, that's Rotary, and if you see a Nibiru, that's a Phydraulis Harmonia. Also, don't mind the shaky camera. It was just a little tripod I took in instead of my big bulky beast. But yeah, on resolution, we hit him with the Droll and Lockbird. Droll is actually pretty good against a lot of Cooltoon hands, but some of their other hands it just doesn't do anything against. If they start with a Rico search, then the Droll does a lot of damage. As we see here, they just pass turn. We draw for turn and then start by special summoning Lucina to the middle monster zone. We go Lucina effect to search, grabbing a Tinia from the deck, and then follow that up with a Theorealize, dumping a Medius for cost. We also get a cheeky peep at the top deck, and it's a Cooltoon Mix, which I do just put to the bottom. I don't want him drawing into gas if he does somehow survive. You could arguably just leave it on top as well, because normal summoning Mix isn't a very threatening play. But yeah, anyway, we follow up by activating the graveyard effect of Medius to shuffle back a monster and special summon itself. That does, however, get hit by the Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion, which is fine by me because we then just normal summon another Medius from hand. The effect on summon resolves, and we summon the Power Patron from the deck. We then synchro the Patron with the Lucina into the Strelitzia, where Patron is going to activate its effect in graveyard to search for an Elfnote card. We search for Fortuna so that we're basically guaranteed trap access, and then I activate the effect of Strelitzia to summon an Elfnote from grave or hand. This gets hit with a Ghost Ogre because if he lets it resolve, we're just going to be able to make Crystal Wing. I've seen a few people testing out Ghost Ogre in Blazing Dominion format. It seems okay, but I don't know if it's actually good. Anyway, the chain resolves, Strelitzia gets destroyed, and we summon back the Power Patron to the middle zone with the intention of leveling up and synchroing into the Crimson King. However, on the summon, Ethan activates Cooltoon Clip in hand to special summon itself and synchro with the Rico into a Cooltoon RS. Not only does he get to randomly snipe an extra deck card with a clip here, but he also gets the continuous effect on RS that bumps all of our monsters that have 1700 or lower attack up by 1 level. To deal with this, we synchro our level 4 Medius with our now level 2 Power Patron into Malong, special summon Tinia, and we can synchro into the Snake Eyes Vengeance Dragon with Malong bouncing the RS. We even still had Super Poly Fortuna and Bone Archfiend in hand, like we were cooking, bro. Alright, game 2, there's no side deck or anything, we're just going straight into it. We are going second once again, and Ethan starts this time with a draw phase Cooltoon Synchro. He adds a copy of Cooltoon Q and then goes into the main phase and normal summons Q. He activates the effect on summon to summon a Rico from deck, and then Rico's effect on summon adds a copy of Rotary, where we once again hit him with the Droll and Lockbird. This one doesn't hurt him as much. He's able to synchro his 2 level 3s on the field into a Loudness War and trigger the Q, which is going to excavate the top 2 cards from our deck. Unfortunately, we reveal our 1 copy of Elfnote Power Patron as well as a Droll and Lockbird. It's like we're going back to Kashtira Riseheart. You know, he banishes the top 3 of your deck face down and it just happens to hit one of your important one-ofs. The Cooltoon deck just has so many toxic effects randomly for no reason. So yeah, our Power Patron obviously gets banished, and I think he puts Droll on the bottom. It should have went on the top, but it doesn't really matter because our engine is basically fucked now. From there, he activates a Synchro Overtake, revealing Cooltoon Remix to summon a Cooltoon Mix from the deck, which on summon can add Rico back from the graveyard. He activates Rotary effect in hand to then normal summon it and synchros it with the Loudness War into a copy of Zalin. From there, he synchros his Mix on field with the Rico in hand for a Cooltoon Remix and then just passes turn. Over to us, we're really fighting a losing game here, but we'll give it a bash and start by special summoning Tinia. We activate Tinia's effect and Ethan chains Remix to tag itself out and summon back the Mix, add back the Rico, and then synchro summons the Mix on field with another Mix in hand into a Track Maker. Resolving the chain, we have Welcome Home getting placed to the field, and then on a new chain we have Chainlink 1 Track Maker to search, Chainlink 2 Mix to pop the Tinia. Tinia can't be destroyed thanks to Welcome Home, and Ethan searches for a Cooltoon Clip off of the Track Maker. From there, I activate the effect of Welcome Home, sending our Tinia to the graveyard to special Regina from the deck, and then Regina effect on summon gets met with a Ghost Mourner. I then activate the effect of Darkness Resonator in hand to special summon itself, and Ethan chains Clip. We're basically guaranteed to lose the Darkness to the Zalin here. There was maybe a world where we could do something by normal summoning Darkness if we had solid like level 9 or 10 synchros in the extra deck, but yeah, unfortunately that was our only tuner access, so we're just not able to do anything. Alright, game 3, definitely the most interesting game of the bunch. We are finally getting to go first, but it's about to be worst case scenario. Starting off with a Poowalos in the standby phase. We don't have have the Ash, so it's already off to a bad start. We go into the main phase and special summon Lucina, and then activate her effect. It resolves, and we add Regina. From there, I normal summon the Elfnote Power Patron, and then synchro with the Lucina into the Dawn Dragster. Power Patron activates to search, and we grab a Fortuna from the deck. I special summon Fortuna, you know, just trying to make the half board. We activate the effect of Fortuna, and we get hit by a Phydraulis Harmonia. We are going to pretend this track maker getting sent to the graveyard is a copy of Malong, so the Phydraulis is going to special summon to the field, destroy our Fortuna, and then the Malong will activate, bouncing our Dawn Dragster, clearing our entire field. From here, I activate Bestial Magnamut in hand, banishing the Malong to special summon itself and, you know, activate its effect on summon, and then we use the trap to send the Magna to the graveyard and summon back the Lucina. From there, we just have to go to the end phase and add a Harmonia of our own. Like, you would think we should be absolutely cooked here, but we can still put up a fight. Over to Ethan's turn, he starts with a draw phase, Cool Toon Synchro, searching for a Q. He then goes into the main phase and activates Rotary's effect in hand to normal summon itself. On resolution, we activate our Regina, pitching the Lucina to special summon itself, and then its effect to summon from deck, but we do get hit with an Ash Blossom as well. Ethan then synchros the Rotary with the Harmonia on field into a Visas Amritara and goes Chainlink 1 Rotary, Chainlink 2 Visas. He gets to peep the hand, and we reveal a Druis Worm plus a Harmonia. He then adds the field spell and a Manadium Reframing. Continuing on, he activates the field spell JJ Cool Tune and then uses the additional normal summon on the field spell to normal summon Q from hand, activating Q's effect on summon. We are going to chain the Harmonia here, special summoning itself and dumping a Malong to pop the Q. Ethan does summon a Mix off of the Q, so Chainlinks here we have Chainlink 1 Mix and Chainlink 2 Malong, bouncing the Amritara. Ethan searches for a Rico off of the Mix effect. Now here on resolution, I'm actually supposed to make my Druis Worm play so that he can't synchro from hand and just make an RS. I was too focused on the fact that he would just normal summon the Rico, and he actually did, thankfully, so we didn't get punished for it. He activates the effect of Rico on summon, searching for a copy of Clip. On resolution of the effect is where I activate my Druis Worm, banishing a Q from his graveyard to special summon it, and then I activate the effect of the trap, sending Druis Worm to grave to summon back the Lucina. This is going to trigger Druis Worm to send the special summoned Mix to grave, and then on resolution of that we can activate Lucina to switch zones with the Regina to bounce the Rico back to hand. So we actually managed to stop his turn. He sets the reframing and passes it back to us. We draw for turn and go into the main phase, activating the effect of Lucina, to which Ethan chains his Clip in hand, and then chains the Veiler targeting Lucina. He's about to threaten a Rico pop and an RS summon here, so we have to chain the trap, and we want tuner access, so we send Harmonia to summon back the Power Patron. Resolving the chain, Ethan summons his Clip and synchros with his Rico in hand into an RS, where on resolution, Rico is going to pop the trap, and Clip is going to rip a random card out of our extra deck. We lose Black Rose out of the extra, and we're now staring down a reframing with an RS. This is another example of where having other extra deck options might actually be very useful here, because with the Power Patron being level 2 thanks to RS, we can only make a level 8 synchro here. I guess we could also make an 11 if we bump up levels, but yeah, we don't run any. I end up synchroing the Regina with the Power Patron into an Omega. Chainlink 1 Power Patron is going to search, and Chainlink 2 Regina is going to come back to hand. That all resolves, and we search for a Tinia before activating the effect of Omega. I was thinking we might as well rip the last card out of his hand, and it just so happened to be another copy of Phydraulis Harmonia. So that's going to reveal 5, come down and pop the Omega while dumping, I don't know what he dumps actually, I don't think it actually mattered. Malong bouncing Lucina doesn't do anything, and there's no card to discard for Packbit. I guess Wind Pegasus would be nice, but not a lot of people are playing it. From here, I activate the Graveyard effect of Omega to shuffle back itself and the Power Patron into the deck. I then activate the effect of Regina in hand, sending the Lucina to special summon itself, but that gets negated by the reframing. We then special summon Tinia and activate her effect to place Welcome Home, but that gets negated by the RS. With no more interruptions, we are down to our final push. We can either tribute summon Regina or normal summon Medius the Pure. We normal summon Medius and activate its effect to summon the Power Patron from the deck, which is level 2 thanks to RS. Unfortunately, because we've already gone through Malong in a previous turn thanks to Harmonia, we can't make that same play as before where we synchro up into the Snake Eyes Vengeance and bounce the RS. Our only solid play left is just synchroing all 3 bodies into the Snake Eyes Vengeance dragon itself. It's gonna let us put the RS in the back row and clear his field, but we're not gonna have any interruptions for his top deck, so we're just gonna have to hope that he doesn't draw anything, maybe like a Poowalos or something. This game should have been completely unwinnable, but somehow we've made it to this point. We pass it back to Ethan, and he top decks a Rico, which is basically just gonna be full combo, And we die, unfortunately, but great games! Okay, so let's wrap up Elfnote Red Dragon Archfiend with its strengths and weaknesses. First up, for the strengths, we have the fact that the deck building process is extremely flexible. There's so many options that you can play with, especially because you don't really rely on your normal summon, so it allows for you to build it better around the format. Similarly, the deck itself is also flexible because it's much less restrictive, right? We don't lock ourselves into Dark Synchros or Dark Dragon Synchros until our actual final push in the turn. So basically, up until that point, we're playing a Synchro toolbox, allowing us to pivot our plays if necessary. Altogether, this means that our entire engine is much stronger overall going first and second, because not only do we have multiple pushes, but we have a lot more options. We're solid against most hand traps and board breakers. There are situations where the Charmies can be a bit of a pain in the ass, but you can still set up a half board under 1 or 2 draws. Also, if we get paired against like a board breaker deck or something like Sky Strikers, then we have that option to Handrip for 3 with the Omega Loop. For the weaknesses, of course, we cannot play any Dominus cards. We could possibly side Impulse in going second and just side out the Regina, the Fortuna, and the Trap, because those are the only cards that conflict. So that's one thing I need to look into. Of course, we also have slightly less non-engine, being 17 if we include the Bestials. While the deck is much stronger going second than the other Red Dragon Archfiend variants, it does still have its weaknesses going second because there's no natural board breaking ability built into your effects, but it's definitely much less dire as a Red Dragon Archfiend variant. I don't think I've found the optimal list or ratios or anything just yet. There's still a lot to experiment with, but in conclusion, this is by far the most toppable Red Dragon Archfiend deck. So far, at least. But of course, you'll still get the purists that don't call this a Red Dragon Archfiend deck at all. Mate, wait until you see Mitsurugi, okay? We have 2 builds left to go, Mitsurugi and Albaz, but I'm also seeing some rocket builds pop up. They look kind of interesting, so maybe we'll look into that as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.